So we're now could potentially do the last presentation of the day, the draft response to the Medishield Life 2020 review. Tien, do you want to start this? I mean, we are 25 minutes early on it. Tien? Hi.
Hi, sorry.
Are you okay to start your presentation now?
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, okay. Share screen. Okay, thank you, everybody. Sorry, can the other panelists comment whether they are able to see the screen?
Oh, I don't remember seeing you.
Oh, okay. Let me try again. Okay, does this work?
Yes, I can see it now. Yes,
okay,
I can see it now.
Thank you so much. Okay, thanks everybody for your time. So I'm presenting this on behalf of the SAS Medishield Life 2020 working group. You can see that there's actually a bunch of people who contributed. Kay, Marcus, Hitesh, Kirti, Jairus, as well as Selwyn. I will keep this presentation to about 30 minutes, and then after that, we can go to Q&A. There is a Q&A function in Zoom, so you can, as and when you have questions, you can put it in, and I will try and address them together with other members of the working group who are also on this call. Okay, as part of Super Week, we would like to thank our Super Week sponsors. Okay, these are just some housekeeping stuff. I think most of you are already familiar. The caveat we like to express here is that whatever we shared here is our own personal opinion. This does not represent the views of our employers nor the SAS as a whole. The purpose of this forum, number one, is to share. Number two is also to gather feedback from actuaries on our response. So if you can send us your feedback by 24th of November, we can compile and release to MOH official response, as well as publish on the Actuarial Society's website official response. I think one key point to note here is that our main interest in this is really to serve the public interest and also to encourage actuarial perspective in this universal healthcare scheme. Okay. So the agenda for today, there's 4 key points, right? Number one, the challenges of coverage versus affordability as far as universal healthcare is concerned, or Medishield Life. And the next point we'll go through is regarding the rising claims costs and using data for better decision making. The third point we will go through is the rising claims costs and the management of moral hazard, both on the perspective of the insured as well as the medical provider. And just to close off, we will have some comments regarding the value add of actuaries in this. Right. So the Actuarial Society has already sent out the email inviting responses from members. Do refer to your email, and you can click on the link in order to access the PDF file containing the detailed response. Okay, so just a very brief overview for the potentially small minority who may not be familiar. The Singapore's healthcare funding framework is multi-layered. There is MediSave, which is basically a savings account. Is basically your own money, right? The second one is the Universal Healthcare Scheme, which is Medishield Life. The Universal Healthcare Scheme is So the Universal Healthcare Scheme is benchmarked against B2C class wards at government hospital. So basically, these are subsidized wards, no aircon, 6 or 7 people, or even an open ward to ward. After that, there's also MediFund, right? It's really for the less fortunate, and there's a very big chunk of government funding for healthcare actually goes to subsidies, and they range from direct premium subsidies to Medishield Life, or what they call government subventions to Singapore restructured hospitals, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is a bit of a wall of text, right? But essentially, these are the changes that is proposed in relation to the Medishield Life scheme for next year. I think the key point to note is that given the sub-limited nature of this scheme, the original intention where they were supposed to cover 9 in 10 subsidized bills, as claims have, or rather medical costs have escalated, the report noted that they are only covering 8 in 10. Therefore, there is a need for them to increase the sub-limits to go back to the original 9 in 10 coverage. Okay, there's also some changes in relation to the deductibles, and also one big thing which will impact the private integrated shield insurers will be the change in the proration factor. Okay. There are other changes through the years that was implemented effectively, like unilaterally. There was no change in premiums for this, so the Medishield Life Council has also noted, and there is some cost that they need to catch up on. Okay, so over here, for the ease of discussion, we have looked at the premiums before subsidy and the premiums, the current premiums, as well as the revised premiums. And over here, you note that the changes range from 11% all the way to as much as 35 percentage points. Right. So in order to estimate the aggregate, we have compared broadly against the Singapore residents by age band, and we have calculated a 29% increase in aggregate. Right. It's not exactly a one-to-one match, but we believe broadly it's there. If you want to see details on our calculations and things like that, you can download the PDF file, and it's there's a lengthy discussion on how we did it. Okay. Even though there's in aggregate 29% increase in premiums, the actual increase after subsidies, quite hefty, right? $1.8 billion over the next 3 years, 316 million over the next 2 years in relation to COVID. as far as Singaporeans is concerned, for the first year of implementation of this revision, it's only a net 10% increase. Okay, so the first discussion is regarding those covered by Medishield Life only. Basically, about a third of the population has Medishield Life only. The other 2/3 have actually bought higher coverage via what we call integrated shield. Okay, so we noted there is a need for them to do this revision as the 2016-2019 aggregate results is incurred loss ratio 104, right? The reason why they've shared 2016-2019 is because Medishield Life specifically was implemented in November 2015, right? Before that, the old scheme was just called Medishield, and for just to have a broader perspective, the working group has also gathered the 2013 to 2015 data and aggregated it together. I think the overall point to also note that in all this analysis that the working group has done, we are limited to only public data. So there are some assumptions here and there we are making, and some correlations we're doing. So this is what we believe to be reasonable. The other point to note also is that the government is giving out, or rather MOH is giving out information as and when requested, whether is it parliamentary debates or forum replies and things like that. So the working group have also attempted to gather these bits and pieces of information all in one single document, such that as far as actuaries is concerned, we have a broad overview of all the information available. So they have shared that the weighted average premium increase, or rather they have shared that the premium increases is necessary, and one key driver is regarding the growth in utilization and payout, right? Then the limits it contributes one quarter of the premium increase of 7 percentage points, and the past benefits and enhancements that I mentioned earlier, they contribute the remainder. Right. So if it's a bit of a mathematical exercise. The council has shared that, or rather Medishield Life Council has shared that they will do another review in 3 years' time. Depending on when they actually change the premiums, this suggests that they internally estimate either a 6% growth in claims year on year or 9% growth in claims year on year, right? Regardless, our concern is that claims have been increasing effectively on a straight line basis, and is, for all intents and purposes, double GDP, right? So therefore, we believe there is an urgency to have a cost management model in place, not just a financing model. Right. So the other 2/3 of the Singapore residents actually have what they call an integrated shield plan. And this is just a brief explanation that the integrated shield plan basically covers higher ward types, B1A or even private hospitals. And these are basically offered by 7 insurers like AIA, Aviva, NTUC Income, Prudential, Raffles, AXA, in no particular order. Right. So these are some of the numbers. So of the 69% that have integrated shield plans, half of the 69% have riders. These riders are paid using cash, and they basically cover the deductible and co-insurance in various amounts. The new effective 1st April 2021, full coverage riders are no longer allowed to be in force. All existing policyholders have to be switched to a rider that mandates co-payment to a maximum of 5 percentage points. There's quite some significant variation available in the market. Yeah, so you'll have to look for yourself. So to have some industry's perspective on the results of these integrated shield players, we have actually gone through and pulled out data from the MAS annual returns for these 7 integrated shield insurers, and we looked at only their long-term health portfolios. The caveat to this is that the long-term health portfolio doesn't contain only integrated shield, but from our correlations against other data, easily 3/4 of insured lives are IPs and their riders. So therefore, we believe this is a reasonable proxy to the integrated shield experience. In aggregate, our conclusion is that, and also there's a lot of newspaper reports, right? The industry as a whole is suffering from this integrated shield plan, and the urgency for cost management on the private side is also very high. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, one big impact to the integrated shield plan is the change in proration factor. From the proration factor drops to 25 percentage points from 35%. So briefly, how the proration factor works is that when a hospital bill at a private hospital is, say, $1,000, instead of looking at only the first $350, the new Medishield life plan will only look at $250. They subsequently will apply deductibles, limits, and co-insurance. So for every $1,000 of private hospital bill, actually only a very small fraction gets paid by Medishield Life. Okay, the purpose is correct, right? We do need to maintain equity between private hospitals and public hospitals, but at the same time, we noted that the actual cost savings for Medishield Life portfolio due to the change in provisions is actually small, right? And our estimates is actually less than 5% for Medishield Life. Again, given the fact that we only work with public data, this is an estimate and this is an explanation on our estimates. Okay, we do have a specific suggestion, right? As the integrated shield portfolio is big, when this premium increases and benefit changes for Medishield Life comes on stream, there is a knock-on effect for the Singapore residents owning IPs, and the knock-on effects have basically high premium increases, right? We are suggesting that the program be the implementation date be postponed to end 2021, mainly due to economic uncertainty, and at the same time, there are some cost management measures that will go live in April 2021. Basically, the full transition away from full coverage riders, as well as increased use of pre-authorization before claims by LIA. So therefore, when there's a postponement, the insurers can see their cost management impact, and they will be able to price better as well. Okay, but we do note that the remainder, 1/3 of population who do needs, the increases in Medishield limits, we are suggesting deploying Medifund instead to target help for these people. Okay, there are also measures around inclusivity, the exclusions around attempted suicide, intentional self-injury, or basically broadly speaking, mental health is removed, right? Our suggestion to MOH is that given that the private insurers have less experience, we are requesting for MOH to share clinical standards such that insurers can assess claims more consistently. Also some statistics so that as the insurers price for the new integrated plans, they can price these enhancements or benefits better. Okay. One key issue around the communication of these premium increases is that a chunk of the reserves actually eventually comes back to Medishield Life policy holders as premium rebates. I mean, just a straw poll around, we noted that not many people, they know of premium rebates, but they don't actually know how big an impact the premium rebates are to their later, to their post-retirement premiums. So in orange, we noted that on a maximum rebate basis, premiums from age 61 to 90 can effectively double, but after the premium rebate, the increase is only like 28%, right? The premium rebate has actually, for 2020 onwards, have not actually been finalized, but we just estimated using the existing premium rebate scheme, and the change is also quite big, from 170% down to only like 97%. So there is significant value in this premium rebate scheme. Just on the principles of pre-funding and compounding our investment returns. So we suggest MOH to improve public communications on this. So one key change in limits is the annual limit from 100,000 goes up to 150,000. This is definitely good for Medishield Life. But our only comment is in relation to what they call the standard integrated shield plan for public hospital, right? The standard B1 plan. Not many people are aware of this standard B1 plan. Therefore, we suggest, number one, the standard B1 plan needs to be improved further, such that it's something meaningful in between, S-Charge as well as Medishield Life. And secondly, we also recommend that the Compare First initiative around digital distribution of insurance be enhanced by adding this standard B1 plan on that. Right? Okay, so right now we are talking about the rising claims costs. So MOH shared that some statistics, right? And we ourselves derive other statistics. Right? So one point to note is that the average payout per claim actually didn't change, right? But we believe that this is largely due to the sub-limited nature of Medishield Life. They have noted that from 9 in 10 coverage, 9 in 10 people are covered, it becomes 8 in 10. So the underlying claims have actually it has definitely gone up. The bigger issue here is basically more people are claiming more, right? Whether you're looking at number of claimants or claims incidents or the percentage of claimants, all have gone up. Okay. We have also looked at the IP insurers. We don't have exactly the same set of data, but we have noted that the average payout per claim has actually gone down. We can only have a hypothesis on whether, for example, are there like more scopes or because of longer pre-post hospitalization benefits. That's why the claim sizes have actually gone down. But we don't have enough data to confirm our hypothesis. Right. I think the point to note is that similar to Medishield Life, there are more claims. Yeah. So how then? What then are our next? The government's next steps, right? In terms of our digital infrastructure or the government's digital infrastructure, we believe there's quite good points available. Right. Number one, the Mediclaim system. There's quite a lot of utilization cost data in. The fact that all hospitals need to use it, I think, is a great move. And all insurers also need to use it is a great move, right? So there's also the National Electronic Health Records, right? So this one is in relation to what treatment was given. And the fact that there's also a CareShield and EduShield, we believe this provides some proxy of outcome data. So with these three key systems, we believe there's opportunity to analyze medical providers in relation to how much what was done and what's the results. And most importantly, the next step would be to analyze those medical professionals that are outliers versus their peers. So our preliminary recommendation is around analysis of is it truly the aging of the insured population causing the problem, or are there other factors, right? Comments around pre-existing conditions coverage, right? Whether what was priced for was met or it was above and beyond what was priced for. Pre-existing conditions would probably require medical interventions instead rather than a financial or insurer solution. In this age of big data, we suggest a GLM analysis, right? And we can study, where the correlations are, whether ICLI plan is a big issue or the age is a big issue, and or private or public hospitals a big issue, right? With detailed data, provider profiling is then available. Okay. Again, around communication, we do suggest MOH share some broad brush analysis on where the issues are coming from, instead of just sharing a generic, 30% increase in premiums. Okay, now we move on to the discussion on moral hazard. Right. I mean, the first point is obvious that healthy people claim less and unhealthy people claim more, right? I mean, this is effectively a Captain Obvious kind of thing. But we also like to note that Singapore as a whole actually, has very good life expectancy, healthy life expectancy, globally among the lowest, what they call disability adjusted life years, right? So in general, the Singapore population is healthier than others, or the outcomes for our medical spending is actually better against global benchmarks. But, right, what can be done, right? The same study suggests that as much as a third of what they call the disability adjusted life years burden can be reduced by modifiable risk factors, right? So the typical things of smoking, poor diet, physical activity, so on and so forth, right? We also note that the Health Promotion Board actually has quite good programs. The Healthy 365 and their Lumi Health, their collaboration with Apple, right? We would request that MOH or the government Health Promotion Board actually shares more case studies with insurers, such that insurers are then self-motivated to spend money on encouraging healthy behavior among their insured lives. Today, as it stands, the industry does not have very clear case studies or clear ROI as far as wellness is concerned, and they are largely spending in relation to marketing. All right, so the moral hazard in relation to overconsumption, right? We noted that the industry as a whole has actually implemented different programs with different results, right? One big one is claims-based pricing by Prudential. The rest are implementing in various form a preferred panel of private doctors, right? Pre-authorization, as well as this one coming up in April 2021 will be the removal of 100% coverage. The converse issue for us is that what the IP insurers are doing may not be applicable to MHH, to Medishield Life. Yeah. So we would need other measures like I detailed earlier to maintain the sustainability of Medishield Life. Right, which then brings us to the discussion on value-driven care. MOH has a unique perspective, right? 80% of the beds are managed by MOH, 80% of the claims are incurred at public hospitals. They are already doing things around value-driven care, treatment protocols that provide best value for patients, and so on and so forth. The thing is that these are not obvious to the general public or not obvious to insurers. So whether there is an opportunity for linking insurance payouts to value-driven care instead of the current fee-for-service models that's implemented, and whether they want to look at global studies or even be an example globally where claims are no longer paid according to what was done, but claims are paid according to what is the health outcome achieved. Okay. So yeah, I'm finishing up in relation to the actuarial value add. All these are broad observations based on public data. If MOH is willing to share more details, we can actually also study and share more insights and more actionables. Right? The key point is that there are global examples of collaborations between the government as well as the actuarial societies, and we believe that it will be meaningful for the Singapore government to engage the Singapore Actuarial Society better. Okay, so in summary, right, there is an urgency for action, but there is too large and quite disparate group of policyholders, one around integrated shield and the other one around Medishield Life. The claims incidence increasing is an issue for both. Right? Singapore, in its smart nation push, actually has quite decent infrastructure around data, and we believe actually using this data for analytics will be very helpful. With data and analytics, therefore, we can then target insured behavior or provider behavior. Right. So we are suggesting more collaboration between the government and the actuarial profession. Just to close off, do send your feedback by 24th November, and yeah. Okay, let me go for questions. Right. Okay, so the first question is in relation to Okay. So the first question is in relation to the impact of the premium rebate. And the fact that the premium rebate, kicks in like 30 years later, at a straight line extrapolation of today's premium would suggest that, the X $100 premium rebate would not matter when the premium in 30 years later becomes $12,000, for example. Yes and no. I mean, yes, as in we are only estimating on a mathematical basis, right? Based on what we have. But at the same time, we need to note that the premium rebates, form 50% of the, or rather, the premium rebates form 50% of each year's premium, right? If you see, yeah, okay. So you can see that for every single dollar of premium that comes in, a big chunk, half actually, or more than half actually goes to reserves, right? And in relation to the reserves, the MOH themselves has actually shared that the bulk of these reserves are actually for the premium rebates, right? And I mean, as actuaries, we also know that as far as IBNR is concerned for health, it's actually no, it actually will not be so big lah. So, because the premium rebate reserves are actually quite large, the compounding over 30 years will also be quite large. So, therefore, we believe in relation to percentages, the rebates would probably help. As the pre-funding and the rebates will probably help vis-a-vis not pre-funding. Yeah. Okay, so there's also another question on why we are comparing versus GDP growth instead of median wage or investment return and bond yield, right? It's just for simplicity to find data that matches in relation to find public data that matches in relation to the same time periods that we're talking about. The underlying axiom would be, if the healthcare industry grows disproportionately versus just the GDP for a long period of time, eventually the entire industry, the entire GDP is driven by healthcare alone, which is an issue kind of thing. This is more taking from the American experiences on how the healthcare industry has been growing. But if the person who asked this question is happy to write in specifically sharing how the comparisons can be done or whatnot, we are more than happy. The working group is more than happy to edit and modify our paper. Yeah. Okay. So there's a question around oh yeah, okay. This is the same question. Around the comparison of premium increase to GDP. It should be compared to wage growth or CPI instead. Okay, so the only comment I have is that the CPI alone versus claims or premium is not good comparison because CPI actually compares the same basket of goods year on year. So if you look at it, like X lab test is $100 last year, and is $110 this year. So therefore CPI is 10 percentage points. But the nature of medical care is such that things may be lab test A may be replaced by something else that is cheaper or more expensive next year, and therefore the actual utilization has changed, even though the CPI doesn't show so big a change. For example, in Singapore's context, if you look at CPI alone, if you look at health and you break down the bullet points in health CPI, you would note that health insurance is actually a point inside there. So it's a little bit circular as far as CPI is concerned. Yeah. So this is, in summary, the lack of the best data available. We just went after the data that is good enough. Yeah. Okay. So there's a question on rising claims rates. Whether it's rising uniformly across age group or different age group are showing different propensity to claim. The short answer is we don't have enough data. The long answer is, or rather, we don't have enough public data. The long answer is that the government themselves has shared that those people who are older, claim significantly more versus younger people, and so on and so forth. But I think the missing component that they are not sharing is whether or not the older people are claiming above and beyond their higher age banded premiums already. Whether the trends are disproportionate versus what they're expecting. The fact that older people claim more, it's not a surprise. The question we actuaries want to know is whether or not older people are claiming more than the government's estimates or the Medishield age bands. Yeah. So the question is that whether the working group has analysed the effect on Medishield Life and IP claims experience arising from coverage provided by group health insurance scheme from employers. No, we have not, because there's no publicly available data, but our own experience, suggests that there is some sort of a indirect subsidy, given that the group insurance is paying close to $1 billion of medical claims each year. So there is probably a large chunk of overlap, but we don't have enough data to really conclude. This is also why in relation to the changes in full coverage rider and things like that, we're not entirely sure that it will be the silver bullet that is the government had made it out to be. It could be possible that there's no change in behavior because group insurance picks up the rest. Yeah. But perhaps making some comments to that effect in the paper may be helpful, right? So we will think about that. Okay. Okay, there's another 8 more questions. Let me see how I'm doing for time. Okay, let me go a little bit faster and we will try and close this off at 5:45, right? For further discussion, I think the working group is more than happy to engage any SAS members who wants to contribute, whether it's for this paper or the health insurance subcommittee as a whole. We are definitely happy to have more contributors. Yeah. Okay, so there's a question around whether the premium rebates is the right thing to do, and because not all will be entitled to future rebates. And there's a lot of uncertainty around the future rebates, which also depends on the future claims experience. I personally think in relation to the alternatives, having pre-funding definitely is better than not having pre-funding, right? Just because of the compounding of investment returns. I think more transparency around the premium rebate scheme is also what the working group would advocate, because the rebate is a big chunk of the reserves, and the reserves, like 50+% of premiums each year goes into reserves, right? So therefore, more transparency around the rebates, the reserves and the rebates would be helpful. Yeah. I am not sure whether, the rebates calculation, the reserving for the rebates is conservative or aggressive, or whether they have included things like mortality, assumptions around mortality, where people who die earlier, subsidize the people who live longer and things like that. So we really don't have enough information to comment, but we do encourage for the government to share more information on the rebates, given that they are so large. Okay. So there's a question around the process of Medishield Life, Integrated Shield, and group insurance, right? If the group insurance bears some of these schemes, Medishield and Integrated Shield will improve. The working group's view on this, right? We didn't really discuss group insurance, because of lack of data, but my personal view is that at the end of the day, cost shifting is not, and cost shifting from Medishield to Integrated Shield to group insurance is not really the best idea for the longer run. As an individual policyholder, it's better to have a portable scheme versus group insurers, as regardless of your employment status, you will still have individual health insurance, at least integrated health insurance at least. But for group insurance, the moment you don't have employment, it's a bit of a double whammy, where you lose your employment and your insurance at the same time. And the whole discussion on the American Affordable Care Act and whatever not, the fact that it's so closely tied to employment is an issue for them. Yeah. Draft paper and slides. Draft paper, okay. The draft paper is in the email. Let me see. Let me see whether I can use the chat function to send out the draft paper. Let me stop sharing for a while. Chat function. To all panelists and attendees. Right. Okay, so on the chat, I have sent the link to the draft paper. At the same time, I will send the email address of the subcommittee, of the health insurance subcommittee. Okay, I have another, let me see how many questions I have left. Ooh. Okay, done. Okay, so there's a compounding of the rebate. Depends on investment return, which won't be 6%. Yep. The only data point we have is that if someone comes back from overseas and needs to rejoin, a Singapore citizen needs to rejoin the scheme, they actually have to pay at a compound rate of 4% in relation to premiums. So I mean, based on that publicly available data, we think that the investment return mandate, as far as the Medishield Life is concerned, would probably be 4%. Right. Oh, yeah. So there was a question on the integrated shield plans, the claims frequency and severity. Yes, we actually have done analysis. It was shared earlier in my slide, and it's also available inside the paper. And the result we have seen is that the average claims payout actually went down marginally by 1 percentage points, whereas the claims incidence is the one that went up significantly by 9 percentage points. In 2016, it was 18% of claims, 18% of lives covered actually claimed, vis-a-vis 23% in 2019. Beyond that, unfortunately, having clearer understanding of where these things are coming from, we don't have enough data to look at it. The premium rebates are actually quite transparent. There's actually a very detailed table around if you join the scheme before 30, when you're younger than 30, and what premium rebates you're expecting, when you hit 65 and things like that. So it's actually quite transparent. I think the only issue is that every review, the rebate scheme may change a bit. Yeah. This question also kind of points to the fact that the awareness on the rebates and the benefits of the rebates is or pre-funding is not very clear among the population. So MOH really needs to explain this better. Yeah. Yeah. One suggestion by attendee is that whether a simple annual increase as opposed to a significant increase 3 years later. There is a parliamentary Q&A answer that's slightly different. I mean, they were suggesting whether or not, similar to the Public Transport Council, whether some sort of inflation index or some sort of formula can be put in to do this, so that premiums are increased on a regular basis. But the minister's answer was that medical is a bit too complicated to do that lah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the last question. Does the change in required reserve allow for pre-funding for future claims as opposed to a pure UPR reserve? Honestly speaking, I don't know this. I mean, unlike a insurance company, or rather a listed insurance company, there's very detailed discussions in the annual report on what's the reserving and what basis, what are the assumptions and things like that. But as far as the Medishield Life scheme or Medishield Life fund is concerned, the information is actually available inside CPF's annual report, and that annual report, Medishield Life is like 1 or 2 pages kind of thing vis-a-vis the other schemes that CPF is managing. So there is a lack of data, and this whole paper, I think the request for more data is we've repeated it like every other page kind of thing out of the 15-18 pages that we have prepared the response. Yeah. So we would agree that more data is required. Okay, Ken, I'm done with I'm done with all the questions. Thank you very much for your time. I hope it helps, and please email to health@actuaries.org.sg if you have more comments. We're happy to, the health insurance subcommittee and the working group is very happy to engage our fellow actuaries on this issue. Thank you very much.